Hello, everyone. This is Martin-Frey. I'm the founder and CEO of Homeless to Independence, and today is November the 19th of 2017, and I want to reflect on some points that I made yesterday to make it more understandable um, as to why our Earth is doing things that are out there. Okay, so as I stated yesterday, there's a brown dwarf, small solar system. Actually, it's our sun's binary twin that is in our solar system. It comes through every approximately 3,600 years, and it affects the Earth. It has affected past planets that no longer exist in our solar system now as we know it. And it is affecting our water, okay? Our Earth on the norm before it actually was coming around, Nemesis was coming around, the equator as we know it, because of the gravitational pull of our sun. You know, our Earth is like this, and around the equator, all the water gathers. So, keeping that in mind, yesterday I had mentioned about Brazil, I had mentioned about Tampa Bay. There are a lot of other water areas that have been affected. Our Mississippi River, it's affected other countries and their ports also. And what I believe is happening, quite honestly, is I know for a fact, because I've seen it on NOAA, I've confirmed it on NOAA, that our magnetic North Pole has shifted, and it's been shifting, and they're doing their very best to keep up with how it's moving, but it's easily accessible on the net. And keeping that in mind, so if that's changing, that means our equator is also changing, and that is why the water is receding in some parts, but it's, you know, as the North Pole, magnetic North Pole shifts, because we're wobbling crazily, and which is normal anyway, but not like this, not like it has been. It's pulling so bad. I don't want to get off the subject of the water, but that is one reason why we're having such very, very bad earthquakes. Because it's pulling and pulling and pulling, and you can just watch it go. I mean, as our Earth, however we're spinning, because I didn't go that far to look into that part. But as we're spinning and the two magnets are fighting competition over the Earth, that seems to be the pattern also of earthquakes, because it's pulling on our crust, on our mantle. So let me get back to the water issue. The water issue now, because we are wobbling and our magnetic North Pole has been moving, that means our equator is also not set as it used to be. If people will look into that, I'm sure that what I am suggesting is a fact. So keeping all the water in mind, we have to keep people. Folks, I'm not a fearmonger. I'm a truther, and I want everybody to know that I received this information from a few very excellent sources. One of them, as I said yesterday, is J.R. Moore, the Liberty Man, so look him up. He has a map. That map is also on Homeless to Independence's Facebook page. The Navy, honestly, the Navy has told their folks, their higher echelon folks, as they were retiring over the past couple decades, that they should strongly, strongly look for property in different areas that are higher elevations and away from the coast. And that's the truth. No two ways about it. So folks, that's a big part of the reason. The hurricanes. I know there's a lot of conspiracy out there about weather manipulation. And do they screw with the weather? You know what? I think maybe they do in some way, shape, or form. I don't know to what extent, but to be honest with you, let's use some common sense. Around the equator is like the warmest part of the waters. And as the Earth is moving, the temperatures of the air masses converging with the warmer waters is creating storms. Is creating these crazy storms because it's like a new soup, and everything is coming together into the soup and is making a big mess. I don't know if that's exactly the way I wanted to say that, but I just wanted everybody to think about it, because I've been a weather geek since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And to be honest with you, for over a decade, I watched the storms coming off of the continent of Africa. And take Sandy, for instance. When Sandy was coming into our Caribbean and the water temperatures were just 80, 85 plus degrees, that was a recipe for disaster. It really was. And that's what happened. Superstorm Sandy, that was fuel. Heated waters are fuel for tropical storms, whether they be cyclones or the other, on the west side and the Pacific region, or tropical storms of our nature here on the Atlantic coast. It doesn't matter. It all has to do with how they're coming off and the storms are forming, how the cloud formations are as they're coming off the continent for us in the Americas. How the storms come off the continent of Africa and the temperature of the waters. That's why our season technically has always been June 1st to November 30th. But it's changing now. We're getting the storms earlier because of the wobble of the Earth. Climate change, please. Don't blame it on man. Let's be real. You're going to blame it on anybody. You know what? I'm not even going to go there. I'm not blaming it on nobody, because, if they would just disclose what in the heck is going on instead of trying to fill us with garbage and distractions and everything, people will be more prepared. They need to be prepared, honestly. People need to be prepared. They need to disclose. We, as a people, period. Doesn't matter what country. I don't give a crap where the heck anybody's from. Let's be real. Human life is human life. Everybody deserves the right to have the best information out there in order to survive any kind of natural disaster or catastrophe. And I just want to help to get the word out there. Life is too short, for crying out loud. Too short. And so that's my take on the earthquakes, the storms situation. Remember when we had all those polar vortexes a few years ago where that extra cold air was coming down? It wasn't that the air was coming down. The earth was shifting. The earth was wobbling. It's like, and the convergence is what brings all this recipe together. So, uh, like cooking or baking, let's say that. Baking, that's why they say melt the butter and let it cool, because if you put the butter in there hot, it's going to interact with the cream. It's harder and it's not going to form correctly. But when it does do it the right way, things form. I hope that analogy is good enough for everybody to understand that, truly. So, this is my suggestion. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. I am not a conspiracy theorist. There's enough of those out there in the world. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I just want everybody to understand that there is a serious situation. It has happened before. It has happened. My next video will be about Noah and the flood. And I'm going to share some important information with everybody that I have learned, I have researched, and I have awesome documentation. They need to disclose. They really do need to disclose. I guess they don't know where to start. Honestly, I didn't know quite where to start either. But somebody needs to let everybody know. So I'm just doing my best to share all that. Yeah, I want everybody to see my pendant. Yep, because honestly, I do believe. I do believe. So, all right, folks, I guess that's it for now. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for hearing me out on this. And next time I'll talk about Noah and the flood and some other things about Siberia that has to do with the other times that this system did come through. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you again, everybody. Be good to each other. It doesn't hurt to be nice to each other. Somebody cut you off by mistake. Don't flip them a bird. Just It doesn't do no good to be mean. It really doesn't do no good to be mean to anybody or get upset. Who's it hurting? It's hurting yourself. So the heck with that. You need to conserve your energy and become more focused on what is going on in the world today. So thank you again, and good night.